Hi, my name is Latif Chowdhury, and I am going to be discussing shipwrecking in Gujarat, India, how it affects the environment and the population. So, our table of contents is going to be discussing shipwrecking in Gujarat, India. Where is Gujarat? Where do wrecked ships go? Where do these ships come from? What type of ships are being salvaged? Long-term effects on health, long-term effects on the environment, number of deaths due to shipwrecking, our conclusion, and citation page. So this arrow is indicating the exact location of Alang Shipyardage, which is located in Gujarat, India. Alang Shipyardage is the largest shipwrecking location globally speaking. This chart here shows us the number of ships that were being sent to the Southeast Asian countries that are basically the number one players in the whole ship recycling game. So the first country is India. In 2022, they received 127 ships. Bangladesh came in second place. They received 122 ships, followed by Pakistan, who received 43 ships. Moving forward, this is a graph from the NHO website that I obtained. One thing that I like to point out about this graph is that in our previous slide, we had discussed how India received 127 ships and Bangladesh received 122 ships. What's important to note here is that Bangladesh is actually on the top of this list specifically because of the amount of weight that they received from these broken ships, which significantly outweighs the amount that India received. So although India did receive 5 more ships than Bangladesh, the weight of those 5 ships that Bangladesh received in addition basically put them significantly higher than India. Moving forward, this is a data set that I had obtained from the NHO website. The left tab is from 2020, the right tab is from 2022. In the left tab, I was basically curious to know the ownership of the beneficial owner's country, the type of vessels, and when the vessels would arrive to Gujarat, India, followed by their weight, which is labeled as sum of vessel LDT. So in the left chart from 2020, we see that Korea came in top. On the right for 2022, we see that America came in top. Now, when you compare the information, the descriptive information from 2020 versus 2022, it's very interesting to see that these two First Nations did send a lot of ships to Gujarat, India. But in 2020, the 2 ships that originated from South Korea outweigh the amount of weight that the United States had sent to Gujarat, India. So, for example, if you were to add up the sum of the first 2 United States of America, that sum would actually be less than the sum of the very first boat listed from the 2020. So to get into a little bit more specifics here, Korea, South Korea, one carrier, June 20th, 651,000. Now, if you add up United States on the right chart, 63,177,54357, it does not equal to 151651. So in 2020, Korea alone had sent almost double what America has sent to Gujarat, India for salvaging. Moving forward, I was curious to know, well, what flags are associated with these ships? We know that there are international rules and regulations that ships need to follow. So it was very interesting to see that ships usually have been associated with St. Kitts and Nevis, and I believe that that association is due to the lack of regulations associated with that flag. Moving forward, I was kind of curious to know, well, who are the owners of these ships? Is there any way that the global population can do something to inform these companies that, hey, as a global population, we're very unhappy with the way that you're handling these shipwreckings. Let's take action against these companies by either boycotting, banning certain products, etc., etc. But lo and behold, once again, we came across a very interesting fact. This pie chart here basically shows that most of the beneficial owners are listed as unknown. So we don't know who we can hold responsible for these ships being sent. So an interesting thing to notate here is that we don't really know who owns these ships. So I was kind of curious to know, well, what can we get on the owners of the ships that we can get information on? We see here is a list of ship companies who have basically just said, yes, we did send a ship there at this time and we sent it at this point and it was for wrecking purposes. But the number of unknown is just extremely alarming. Moving forward, over here is a chart that basically shows the destination place, specifically based off of the vessel LDT. LDT stands for light displacement tonnage. Light displacement tonnage basically means that how much does a ship weigh when there's no people, when there's no cargo, and when it's not in water. When an object is in water, its weight gets displaced, so it's important to know how much weight is being actually sent, and we can see that Along has a noticeably higher vessel LDT compared to Chittagong for the year 2022. The number of deaths reported in Along, India was only 3, which is very surprising. The environmental effects from shipwrecking, as listed here, we can see that there is a numerous amount of health effects, followed by health effects on the people. In conclusion, countries should find a more effective way to recycle the materials from a ship. Bangladesh, India, and Pakistan need to create tougher laws on allowing ships to dock in their nations for recycling purposes, and the government agencies should work together to monitor the environmental potentials for toxic exposures, and I think the governments should all consider figuring out a way to capture data to be able to, help the people of their nations as much as they can. For example, more accurate recording of death and injuries, causes of death and injuries. In conclusion, that was my project. This is my citation page. Thank you.